everyone. Welcome back to our Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition Meet the Board podcast with Marnese. Today we have one of our board members, DeAngelus Garcia, who is located in Michigan. He was going to talk about his board experience and things that he is working on outside of board life. But just to recap, and to lift up Midwest BDC, we are here to eliminate fossil fuels in buildings before 2050. That is our mission. And we're also in the states of Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio. We're going to get into why Midwest BDC was founded in the first place back in 2019. And we officially became our own nonprofit December 2023. But our organizational structure emphasizes operating by the HIMAS principles for democratic organizing, the climate justice principles, and centering our work around the people who have been impacted the most by energy burden and environmental racism. And so with these podcasts, we're here to uplift the different work that our board members are doing, their backgrounds, and tell you about them and their story and how they got involved with Midwest BDC. And hopefully we would encourage members to take a chance and join a board on our organization or cause that they're passionate about, because that is definitely good experience. And so today we have DeAngelus Garcia, who is joining us. DeAngelus Garcia Bey, who is an interdisciplinary artist and creative director who masterfully wields editorial photography, graphic design, and writing to forge profound connections between himself and the world around him. In 2022, he launched Art House More, a dynamic agency dedicated to empowering musicians, fine arts, and arts-driven nonprofits. So as you can see, we do have an array of experience of board members. Okay, so we have our artsy board member joining us today. So DeAngelus, welcome to the podcast. And please reintroduce yourself. And you're going to have to really clarify, how do I say your nonprofit that you started? Because I know I messed that up. I know I did. But welcome.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for having me. Thank you for for leading Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition. So again, my name is DeAngelus Garcia Bey. I'm an interdisciplinary artist and creative director. And basically, what that means is that I use a couple of different mediums, as Marnie's just described: editorial photography, prosaic writing, graphic design, to create really meaningful experiences to kind of display my thoughts and invite folks to share in them. And the agency that I founded is called Art House More, which was founded by myself and my business partner, J.R. Limambe, in 2022.
Nice. So a couple years, and so how's everything going with that?
Everything is going well. JR got the hits professionally.
Mhm.
Is a drummer and a producer, and we actually released an instrumental album last year called "Return of the People Mover," whose name has some symbolism and some meaning to connect it back to Detroit
Mhm.
during a time where we were challenged to think about the future in the middle of COVID. You know, during early parts of COVID, a lot of things were shut down,
Mhm.
considered non-essential, and so the People Mover, which is basically like a sky train in downtown Detroit, was suspended from activity and operation. And trying to project ourselves in the future, I presented the question of, man, what will life be like when the People Mover starts back up? And essentially, what JR did was took that idea or that question that I asked and man went beyond that question to create some really powerful instrumental music that can be, considered jazz, but it's really like inspired by hip hop and like a wealth of experience as a musician he has. So I was able to curate the creative direction for that, which earned me the credit as co-executive producer as well as creative director. We were able to connect with some other organizations like the Grace Lee Bogg Center, where we actually facilitated the photo shoot for the assets for the album. We've been able to support the project through public programming with Black Bottom Archives and Decipher and Riverfront Conservancy and Trade. And so just to give you an idea of like the meaningfulness to me of the intersection of art and community.
Hmm. So, could you explain more though? Because I wanted to get into like, how did you get involved with Midwest BDC? But how, like, why would you want to get involved with a coalition and focus on indoor air quality with an artsy background, communications? Like, why does that matter for people who
Well,
may not get the connection?
well, one because artists have to pay the bills, right? And so, and so is that my skill set
Mhm.
has been made sharp by
Uh,
involved in the arts as well as being a communications professional. Before I knew how to write creatively, I just knew how to write. It's just something that I've always been good at, and the professions that it provides you
mhm.
with is opportunities to speak on behalf of organizations that are doing really powerful work. And so when I encountered Midwest Building Decarbonization, I was communication strategist for an organization called Solidarity in Highland Park, Michigan, is championing a really worthy cause of solar democracy, empowering Highland Park residents to turn the lights on for themselves, to be able to have non-municipal street lighting, to be able to have access to solar programs that will not only improve the efficiency of your home, the energy efficiency of your home, but save you money.
Mhm.
So Solidarity was a partner or a member of the coalition, and part of my role as the communication strategist for the organization was to interact on behalf of our organization with the coalition. And that was my first introduction to NWBDC.
Thanks, and and thanks for all the work you did with Solidarity and beyond. Um, you know, as we have transitioned over to being our own official nonprofit, what made you want to be a part of the board of directors? Because for those who don't know, starting a nonprofit, you got to have all the legal stuff, you got to be compliant, but then also you have to have a board of directors, right? And essentially, those are the individual who make sure that the organization is physically responsible, but then also making sure they manage or govern the executive director myself. So why did you want to be in a startup board of directors position? Because that's a lot of work. That's a hard work. It's totally different than an established organization. And I can say that because I sit on a couple boards.
So there's a few different reasons, right? So one, I was already a part of the coalition and the board before I transitioned from out of my position with Solidarity.
Hmm.
It was really important for me to still honor that commitment. But as far as my natural inclination to be on the board to begin with, it's just I really like seeing things get started. I'm very passionate about getting them off the ground, and in a lot of my roles, whether I'm supporting a creative person or a startup professional, what I usually find is the best way for me to be impactful is to report directly to decision makers. And in the event that it is a startup organization, uh, everyone's a decision maker. So it's essential that someone comes in and has the presence of mind to keep everyone organized in a specific way. And so being a part of the committees that I was on as a board member, which allowed me to contribute to the success of the Energy Equity Summit for the last 2 to 3 years, as well as being a part of the equity team and the hiring committee. Like all of those are things that naturally align with how I like to spend my time anyway. And one of the reasons that I remain in creative professions is because it provides a time autonomy for me to be able to focus on things like this.
Thank you. And for those who don't know, board of directors, they really play a really good role. And so for those who are interested in getting that volunteer experience, could you tell people what they may not know about how board of directors contribute to the organization? You mentioned some, like you're part of the equity summit planning committee that that's coming up virtually, and you have participated in some of our trainings that we've been having. Um, So how do board members, how can they contribute to the organization?
Man, one of the reasons that the board of directors exists is because there's always something to do. It's
Hmm.
doing community-based work, and the significance of that is uh, it can't be confined or limited to what an organization can afford to pay for, or their spending capacity, or their time capacity, because it's not that MWBDC is a small organization. We have a coalition of 8 states, and as a new organization, it's really important that its success and as a managed project of Fresh Energy continues while MWBDC grows its own legs. And so it's not just for MWBDC; it is for any organization that you would be a board member of. And so the value of being a board member is that you get to be a part of the checks and balances in a way that you decide is meaningful for you. So I know Marnese was talking about, or Marnese, you asked me about how does a creative professional end up on the board of directors for a decarbonization organization? And it's really just simply that, uh, I found out that there was something for me to contribute, even as a creative, as distance as creativity and carbon neutralization seems.
Yeah, and that's helpful because it's like I think you get different perspectives, especially with the creative part. Where could we take this creatively, right? I was at an event, a U.S. Green Building Council event, where the Museum of African History in Detroit said that they would like for us to be a part of a walking museum and tell the history of building electrification, energy justice. And I was thinking to my mom, like, how do you do that in a museum, right? Telling what we do in regards to building decarbonization. So it's like, okay, leaning more into the creativity that I didn't think could be there, And um so with that, what is your favorite part about working with Midwest BDC? I know we have had. I was just in the meeting, and I noticed all the stuff that we have been doing since we got started, and as we attempt to get into strategic planning, what do we hope to say? This is what we're good at. This is what we're great at. So, what has been your favorite part thus far as a startup? As something new, focus on equity, which we are the only regional scale organization focused in buildings that's focused on advancing equity, right? So what has been your favorite part to being a part of the coalition?
My favorite part, honestly, has been, I would say, hiring the executive director. I'm not gonna,
Oh, what? Stop. See, so look,
but like,
I don't need you don't have to boost my ego, okay? I'm not that person, okay?
uh, cool, Marcus. But I mean, really, that was a milestone in the organization that really was like the fulcrum of a lot of hard work. It represented so much of your own hard work, and then your ability to pass it off to a team of people that was able to support you in the name of the organization and the shared cause. And so, one of the reasons that is my favorite thing is it because uh, I love a finished product. And so, we keep referring back to creativity. I love a finished album. I love, a business that cuts the ribbon. I love the debut of something.
Mhm.
And it's not, the main reason that is because it is a milestone that everybody gets to share in a lot of the time. It means something for everybody.
Mhm.
And so being able to do things that are meaningful, not just for myself, but for everyone involved, is just really how I live my life.
Well, I totally appreciate that, especially shaping it, the milestones, and me being there since 2020. I was the second actually contractor to get hired just to shape the coalition and focus on equity. I definitely think there, thank you for lifting that up, even though, I never looked at it like that, as I have been doing and getting into the work and shaping the organization, because there is a lot of missing pieces. And someone told me actually yesterday that I need to like slow down, right? And I'm like, how? How do you slow down?
One
And
question.
like you got all this stuff happening. Like I can't slow down. I like how do you do that? But I appreciate you lifting it up because it is a lot of key milestones that we have had. And so, um, in your opinion, how can people get involved on boards of organizations that they care about? Right, like because some people sometimes think it's not reachable.
Yeah.
Board of directors, they're just so high up, like, and you can't talk to them, you can't be involved with them, and they're just really far from the organization and the work.
Yeah, I think that the main thing is that you have to be involved with the organization before you approach the board. Boards usually have elections that are periodical, either like annual or biannually, and the nominees that come forth are usually from within the organization. And so, for instance, Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition is a membership-based organization, which means that we're open to organizational membership or individual membership.
Thank, look at you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through my organizational membership, which then led me to the board of directors, I was able to maintain my relationship as an individual member. But my first experiences with the organization wasn't as a board of director. It wasn't as a director. It was the experience as a member of being able to contribute to trainings, being able to contribute to the equity summit, being able to participate in some of the things that MWBDC offered that benefited the organization that I was a part of. Because I don't know, I'm sure it comes up on these podcasts, but Midwest Building Decarbonization does a lot financially to support the members of the coalition and their organizations, and that can be anything from an empowerment grant to leading a committee. Just they're really, really serious about creating equity within and without the coalition and the organization. But that starts with, the member or the candidate doing the same.
You know what? And thanks so much. You just did the whole building the carb or orientation, Midwest BDC orientation. Yes, for those who don't know, to get involved in Midwest BDC, we do have an empowerment grant participation stipend program where for individuals who don't do this on their day to day can come to our coalition. And this is for impacted marginalized communities, community organizations who don't get paid to do this work and come in, participate, learn about building decarb, do some project based work in their community because we want to get this work done, right? So just look forward to how we're going to be revamping that program in the future. But of course, we want everyone to come along, and our membership is free, right? A lot of people charge for memberships, even organizations to be members. And a coalition, for those who don't know, usually a coalition don't stay into existence for a long time. The hope is to solve the problem that we're working on. Unfortunately, the way we're at in our society, with majority of our time is spent in buildings, and buildings are the biggest emitters to climate change. So we gonna be doing this work for a minute. So we want to make sure that we are making an impact, moving towards reform, and hopefully revolution within this the work that we're doing. So come along and work beside us. And shout out to individuals who are tuning in to this podcast with DeAngelus Garcia. I see Jerome Reed, Beverly Wilson, Blue Sky. How are you all doing out there? Thanks so much for tuning in to our podcast with our lovely board director, DeAngelus Garcia Bey. And so, yes, I wanted to ask you. So, going back to the work that we do, building decarbonization, what do you wish people knew about energy and climate justice? Being a communication perspective, telling the story. Like, what do you wish people knew about the work that we do?
Yeah, I wish that so the thing that really sticks out to me as far as why I even got involved in the work and why I stay committed to it,
Hmm.
I understand that energy justice, energy democracy is for everybody. And so it's one of the ways that we get to center the cause without necessarily centering a particular demographic of people and making them exposed to the vulnerability of being, mismanaged or having their problem miscommunicated because we're focused on who they are and not what the problem is.
Hmm.
That I wish that people knew that environmental justice, decarbonization, like these are issues that already affect the vulnerable communities that we already work for and that we work within every day. And so it's a very natural way to take advantage of what's being platformed right now in a way that benefits your own community first, wherever you may be from, but also benefits the global community at large.
Hmm. Yeah, and could you say actually a little bit more about the global community because people really don't see the connection between why is this not just a local issue that this is international, this is globally.
Yeah, I mean, so just industry and commerce depend on our electrification and our ability to utilize electrification to move goods and services and products at a speed that's going to be profitable to that corporation. It's going to be impactful to those communities that they're importing and exporting to and from. So that's one reason that it's global. But then the other very basic reason is that we all live here and we all need energy and we all deserve a quality of life. And so as we continue to one electrify and improve decarbonization in the United States, we have to be mindful of ethic. I can't say ethical extraction because I'm not so sure that that's not an oxymoron. But we have to be mindful of not being extractive, and the way that we do that is by practicing ethics.
Yeah, because if you say ethical extraction, it's kind of like we're condoning it. It's like more so those false solutions that we're trying to stay away from. So yeah, ethical extraction. There's definitely nothing ethical about extraction.
Right. And so like that for everything that you do good, there's something that you can do bad, right? And so if we are going to prioritize, our quality of life, we should do it with respect and with to others' quality of life and their right to equity.
Okay, I definitely agree with that. And so, and if anyone out there join us have any questions for DeAngelus, let's keep this going. We have a couple more minutes before we're gonna um, get up out of here. But outside of communication work, your commitment to Midwest BDC, what are some projects that you're bringing working on right now that brings you joy and excitement?
Oh man, so I mentioned that, Art House More is the agency that I started in 2022 with my good brother Jay. I got the hits. And so when I am not participating in community work and pushing neighborhood work forward. What I really enjoy doing is supporting the arts. And so last week, I had the second installation of a residency that my agency performs called Volley and Serve over at Spotlight. It's a venue in Detroit that is a gallery, a wine bar, and a dance venue
Where's this at?
in the Island View neighborhood, like in the Verners and Mount Elliott.
I'm not from Detroit, right? I'm from yeah. I'm like
Yeah.
what?
So, but Spotlight Detroit was founded by a few people, but primarily a married couple named Rula and Jesse David, and they've done a lot to support the fine and performing arts community in Detroit. Starting with facilitating the relationship with Red Bull Art House and their presence in Detroit and Eastern Market for about 10 years, and then Eastern Market After Dark, which is a festival or Murals in the Market, which is a yearly festival that happened annually. But they moved the festival to their new neighborhood of Island View last year, and so like just on the street outside of their venue, there is a there and oh right in line with the conversation, there is a DTE mini station mini power station across the street, and DTE partnered with local businesses and local muralists in Detroit to beautify the power stations. And so, while it may not do anything for decarbonization specifically, it does open up the conversations that Midwest Building Decarbonization is pushing to big utility to be more engaging with the residents and with the subscribers. And so, just taking a minute to observe myself, like how even my creative work still comes back to, you know, uh, municipality and the rights of a citizen. And so, always very excited to recognize that.
I was just thinking, like, DTE show is popping up everywhere.
You know, but but I know that there's a reason for that. I know that
Yeah.
that it took a lot of work from not just Midwest Building Decarbonization, but so many organizations in Michigan and Metro Detroit, whether that's Solidarity,
Hmm.
You Want Green Two, coming together coming together to go to Lansing and to put pressure on the commissioning board. Or what? Can you remind me the name?
Yeah,
MPA?
the Public Service Commission,
Yes,
Michigan
the
Public
public.
Service Commission. Yep.
Yeah, and being able to convince them to move those public hearings to Detroit and be able to take public comment and starting to hear the results of the pressure that our organizers put on DTE
Hmm.
result in them at least starting to adopt some decarbonization language, which gives us a starting point to hold them accountable if nothing else. Now that we're speaking the same language.
Accountability is real, especially with our utility provider. So, there was a little call to action in there, show up and hold DTE and others, since we are a regional coalition, your utility provider accountable by way of the Midwest. I mean, the Public Service Commission. Every state has a Public Service Commission, either appointed or elected. So, so before we head out, I just wanted to know, I'm doing these conversations with the board of directors because, this is about building relationships, and beyond, right? Because we never know where we may end up in life. So, just about you, what are your passions? What do you enjoy spending time? I know I met your wife and your family member out at the Kite Fest. That was so fun.
You
And
know.
yeah, he really helped my son and my daughter put the kite on. And we used their kite, so we really appreciate that. That was a fun event.
Yeah, my wife gives leadership over that, man. She's the
Hmm.
director of Great Kite Festival. She's also the community programming director for Black Archives, which is an
Hmm.
archival organization in Detroit that preserves the history of the Black Bottom neighborhood, which was a historically Black neighborhood on the lower side of Detroit.
Hmm.
Uh, so like whenever we have time to like indulge our passions, it still end up being work somehow because that's just kind of how we live.
Just
And
how it works, right?
we're enjoy somebody else's work. There's a an exhibit that just opened by a fine artist named Tiff Massey over at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and she took all of these things that are symbolic of growing up as a young person in Detroit or a young woman in Detroit, uh, that that are symbolic of the way you grew up in the area that you grew up. It's like barrettes and like bamboo earrings, but they're to scale so that they're larger than life. And so you're walking up on like this big bamboo earring, and it is literally like massive and like all encompassing of your view. And so I want to create something like that. So like that is my next project is to create something that is larger than life.
You
And
know,
yeah,
mhm.
that'll be
Yeah.
through.
I'm sorry, guys. Say it again.
I said so like my next passion or my next project is to create something larger than life in the form of a creative experience that folks can participate and share together.
So, like I say, my grandma always taught me, it's nothing to do but do it. So go ahead and do it.
Absolutely.
um, but I wanted to say thank you so much. And that reminds me what you said about, our passions are always related back to the work. Just remind me of what Molly, our other board director, and David said about, stuff that they're passionate about. It related right back to the environmental and climate justice movement by way of being in nature, right? And so we forget that part of the work that we're doing. We're trying to save Mother Earth, right? And everything within Mother Earth, right? So I appreciate, it's kind of like we don't get away from it, right? So, um, but DeAngelus, I think we hopefully will see you. And it's crazy how we live in the same state. We run up on each other, but we just don't really see each other. It's crazy. Like, I'm like, I don't know why it's like that, and it's crazy. But hopefully we will be seeing each other soon. Um, and I know when you're one of our Michigan board of directors, so of course we will resend that invite out to come kick it with the Midwest BDC team. We'll all be there. And so in a couple of weeks, well, in June.
Mm-hmm.
So in June, it's not a couple of weeks, but it is a couple of weeks though. It is a couple of weeks. So I wanted to say thank you so much, DeAngelus, for tuning into our podcast series, Meet the Board, because that is important. And so for those who tuning in today, thank you so much for being here. And of course, if you're ever interested in talking to Marnese, I love doing podcasts. That's fun for me. This is something I like doing. So you can always come on. But also I'd like to invite you all to check out our upcoming events. We have a Building Decarbonization 101. That's with Jacob Surfling, our Director of Building Decarbonization Policy and Projects. Just learn the basics of Building Decarb 101. And then we do have some upcoming another one. Yes, I knew we had another one. We have Public Utility Commissions 101. You heard DeAngelus speak about public service commissions. This is the training. Okay, Tanya Pulowski is the one who's going to tell you about the ins and outs of public service commissions. Okay, because she is definitely an advocate and an activist for people. And she use her positionality to make sure that we are in the room and talking to these commissioners about energy democracy. So shout out to Tanya. And then, you can always sign up on our email list. Go to our website at midwestbdc.org. We're on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, aka X, Instagram now, and Facebook. So, and YouTube. We're on YouTube too. So go check us out, follow us. We have some great information that's focused on your health, okay? Indoor air quality is about your health, okay? And your economics. So if you like paying high utility bills, okay, we don't. So come check us out. And then also, thanks so much for tuning in. We do have some podcasts coming out with some of our other board members for the remaining of the month. But shout out to Maggie, who was on the back end directing us and preparing us. She is our communications manager. So shout out to Maggie. But I'd like to say goodbye and everybody have a lovely day. If you haven't been outside today and you're in Michigan, it's pretty nice out there. It's nice out there. So get outside. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. And thank you, DeAngelus.
Thank you.